Hi everybody, it's Nikki Hancock here with Nikki Hancock Photography. I wanted to make a video. I'm not the most comfortable on video, but it's a much more efficient way to pass on some of the info that I have and some thoughts I have on everything that's going on and how it affects small businesses, especially photographers and creatives. This is hard for everybody and it really sucks. And I'm seeing a lot of people that I know, especially photographers, artists, and small business owners, who are just absolutely terrified right now because we don't feel like we can even focus on the bigger picture. We're so worried about our businesses and our finances. So the purpose of this video is to try to give you some ideas on how to relieve that business anxiety and financial anxiety and some solid steps you can take to make life feel a little better right now. This is not going to be political anyway. I won't entertain any political conversation because it doesn't matter. I know a lot of us we're very divided right now. It's very apparent if you spend any time on social media. A lot of people think we are completely underreacting and we need to be way more afraid of what's going on. And then a lot of people think this is a huge overreaction and ridiculous. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you sit on. We're here. And this is where we're at, and our businesses are shut down. So the sooner you accept that and make a plan and just start moving forward, the sooner you will feel better, I promise. And this is coming from experience because I'm one of the most stubborn people as far as this has gone. And I apologize if I look down, but I recorded this earlier and I wasn't happy with it. So I'm trying to redo it with a little bit of an outline. In my business, in my household, the reason that we're shut down doesn't matter. This is where we're at. This is what we're facing. A lot of people, myself included, are just terrified right now of losing everything. When you're a small business owner, you have busy seasons and slow seasons. We always say it's feast or famine. And like for me, this is hitting during the slowest season when I ramp up into my busy season. So it could not be a more terrifying time. It's when we just get by until we're going to start thriving again. And now instead of thriving, we're just totally shut down. And I think a lot of businesses are slower in the winter and then they ramp up in the spring towards summer. So I know I'm not alone in that. For me, I worked for years to get my business to a place where it is very strong and where I could start taking a direction that I want to take. And I've worked a lot more towards mentoring and less towards pounding my feet for 12 hours a day on the pavement. And I bought myself a house just months ago. So now to me, it feels like there's a lot to lose if this drags on very long. It feels like everything I've worked a decade for is completely being threatened. After drowning in those feelings for a while and those thoughts for a while, I realized that this truly takes a mourning process. You have to go through the stages of grief. It doesn't matter if you're a small business owner or not. We all are going through the stages of grief. For me, I was in complete denial at first. I'm sure that's evident by some of the things I was saying and posting online. Like, we're not getting shut down. We're still going to work. Life is great. I was in total denial about how far this was going to go. And then once I couldn't fight that anymore, I got very depressed. I spent a lot of time emotional and crying and talking, saying the same things over and over for hours. And then I got really angry, mad. And these are all normal stages of grief if you look them up or if you're familiar with them. In the end, I kind of credit my mom with saying, she went through a lot of it too. And then she goes, I just have to accept it now. And she's right. We have to accept this. None of those emotions are really important to feel and process. You have to. You cannot run from them or they will tear you down later. So as they come, you've got to validate them and go like, this is totally okay to feel this way. And a lot of people are feeling this way. But at the end of the day, they're not going to pay your bills, those emotions. So we've got to get smart about things, accept that where we're at, and then we'll use this to come up with a plan to at least help us move forward or feel better. I think this is especially hard for small business owners because we are planners. We are used to planning things out, projecting everything for the season, for the year. We know what time of year we're doing this, doing that, doing certain things. And now all of a sudden we're thrown into a position where we don't even know what time of year we're going back to work or what time of year we're going to be able to pay the bills. So, like I've said over and over, just accept that. Accept it. This is where we're at and we're not in control. We've discovered overnight that the government could come in and say, something else is more important than you. You have no freedom for now. So we have to accept that and move forward. If you're moving forward, you're doing okay. If you get stuck in that anger or denial, that's what's really going to threaten everything that you have. So having said all that, here are some helpful things that I've come up with, some steps. I think I have 6 steps that I think are really important to get through this. The first thing is to, like I said, go through that whole grieving process. Let yourself feel those things, talk them out. If you need to cry, cry. If you're mad, rant on someone that you know will allow you to rant and then walk away from it and not hold it against you. And be depressed about it. Like all the normal things that we're used to doing in the spring, we don't get to do. That's sad. People have had to cut their vacations out. Don't let anyone belittle that and tell you that's not important. I did something the other night where I kind of belittled a friend who was sad about something, and I said, well, at least you're not in my shoes. And then I immediately started crying and was like, I'm so sorry, that's not fair. Like, we all have different things that we're worried about right now, and it's all so valid. So let yourself grieve that, settle it, accept it. But then step 2 is that you have to keep moving forward. And so for me, this involves coming up with like just the idea that I'm going to set goals. I'm going to keep going one foot in front of the other. I'm not going to just sit on the couch in my pajamas and be depressed. If you've ever gone through a period of time in your life where you were unemployed, which I think a lot of people have, you know that unemployment and not working equals depression. You will get depressed and feel miserable quickly. And a lot of that is because if you don't have a use or you don't feel like you can provide something to anyone, you feel like useless, and it makes you depressed. This doesn't count. When I say unemployed, I don't mean stay-at-home moms or work from home people because you are doing a full-time job. I mean, if you've ever just been on your own and not worked, it is a depressing, miserable thing. So for me, being deemed a non-essential employee has been incredibly depressing, and I've thought all day, every day, like, I would rather have a job and be deemed essential right now, even if that job was an office job, or if I was working at a gas station, or any of the things that we're now realizing are so important to the functioning of our daily society. Photography is totally, it's not essential. We can live without it. And it's really hard to realize everything you've worked for is not essential. I know it's important and it's meaningful. So I don't need a pep talk on that. I just mean, like, when the main stuff gets shut down, I'm one of the things that gets shut down. So that can be upsetting. And that's another thing that I think is important to kind of process and then move forward and go, like, usually we're not in a situation where we're on lockdown. So that's okay. We're non-essential right now. What I do urge you to think about is, I know every single small business owner I know, and pretty much every person I know at some point has hit an incredibly difficult thing in their life, something that just felt like a challenge they couldn't overcome. And a lot of times that's a financial challenge or a business challenge. It could have been a health challenge or even a goal to run a marathon or whatever it is. We've all at some place been somewhere we didn't think we could make it through, and then we made it through. So I do challenge you to think about that thing and what it was you did, and remember how you did it, because that process is what's going to help you move forward. For me, it was buying my house and getting to the very end when I was supposed to close, and they gave me 48 hours notice that instead of $8,000 cash to close, I needed $18,000 cash to close in 48 hours. So to me, that was a hopeless, I've lost this, I'm homeless, I failed. And but I refused to give up, and I dug in, and I had a certain process I went about. I said, I'm going to go down swinging. Here's what I'm going to try. And I succeeded at it. And so then later in another challenge, I used the same exact process and totally succeeded in that as well. So what I've done is written that down, like what it was I did to get there. Every step I did, from writing myself a fake check, which I still have here on my board, to like everything I did to make that happen, I've written it down so I can follow that process over and over. I encourage you to do the same. Think about something that you accomplished or a challenge that you overcome and what it took. And most of you are going to find the biggest portion of that is going to be what your mental attitude was, and just whether you were determined to or not. If you kind of have one foot in the door and one foot out the door, like, well, maybe I'm gonna fail, you're more likely to fail. So that was step 2, which was keep moving forward. Step 3 for me is to figure out what your new routine is. If your business is shut down, your routine has changed a lot. For some of us that work a lot from home, it hasn't changed as drastically, but we don't have anywhere we have to be at any specific time. That can make it really easy to get depressed and lose momentum. I believe momentum is everything in life. So for me, you figure out your new routine, and maybe you give yourself a little slack. You sleep in a little more, stuff like that's okay. But for me, it still involves, the first thing I do every day is write a list of what my goals for that day are. Maybe they don't all have to be business goals now because you're shut down, but there should be some. And for me, there's a lot of stuff around the house that are added to my goals list. But as long as I have some things that are solid that I know I'm working towards, then I feel like I have a purpose. And then I also feel really good when I check those things off the list. So set your goals for the day. And then the next part of my routine also still involves coming to this desk, which is what I would normally do if business was booming. And I come sit at this desk and I check all my emails and messages and I respond to them. Right now, it's the majority of the messages I get right now are from other photographers and small business owners asking for help on how do I deal with this contract? What do I tell this bride? What do I tell my clients? Or just for advice on how to deal with stuff. But I also do have brides I'm rescheduling, unfortunately. And then my own like promotions and stuff that I'm working on to still keep income coming in. I think it's really important during this time to keep that routine and to keep focusing on what you can do to keep somewhat normalcy in your life. So coming up with your new normal routine is step 3. I haven't done the best about that. I kind of fail once it comes to the office part. I know I need to keep exercise in and other things that I'm normally used to doing, but the depression is still got a hold of me a little bit. So my number 4 step is to come up with a plan. And this is where you got to get really real with yourself. We don't know when we're going back to work. Trump says one thing, our governor says another thing, statistics say another thing. It's possible we could be back to work in a week. Not likely. It's possible this could last a couple of months, a few months. And if that's the case, we've got some serious financial decisions to make. Not only as small businesses are we losing money every day, but money still has to go out. Like, we still have to pay our bills and we have to buy food and all those things. And my heart goes out to everyone raising a family right now, because I still get emotional, but it's hard enough alone. I can't imagine what other people are going through with kids. So as far as the plan, you have to decide, first of all, are you going to fight this through to the end, or are you going to maybe call it quits? And I'm not saying there's a right answer. I've really wondered if this was going to be the end of Nikki Hancock photography, which I cannot imagine after everything I've been through. But reality is reality. At the end of the day, I know myself and I will not give up without a fight. So for me, I'm going on the other side of the plan, which is here's the steps I'm going to take. For you, if you decide the right thing to do is to pursue another option, I totally get it. This time that we're going through right now is making a lot of us wonder about the bigger picture and realize how fragile and delicate not just life, but our society is. Like, all of a sudden, we're realizing we don't even pay like teachers and nurses nearly enough for what they're dealing with. Some of you are going to want to make career changes, and I think that's totally okay. And this is exactly the time to make a decision like that, or to begin the seeds of it, you know? But for those that decide, no, I'm going to stick this out, there is a process and a way to come up with a plan. And so the things that I have found so far, one, the overall money thing is you want to bring your expenses down and your income up. And when you don't have an income, that's the really hard part. So this isn't the time to splurge on anything. Your shopping shouldn't be happening right now, except for the absolute essentials. You need to really take a realistic look and realize this is temporary. It's absolutely temporary. So for me, I went through this already last summer when I bought my house, but there's some apps out there. I prefer one called Truebill. It's $3 a month, so you are spending money on it, but it takes your bank account info and it shows you all your subscriptions, all your money, what you spend on what. And for me, I spend $3 a month and I saved $250 a month because I found all these different subscriptions I didn't know I still had, or doubles and triples. So there were certain companies that were charging me for 2 different accounts or 3 different accounts, and I had no idea because I would just see the charge to Adobe, for example, and not realize I was double or triple paying it. So get real with your bank account. Sit down and comb through them, or get an app that will help you do that and cut stuff out. Be just absolutely crazy about it. Cut down to the bare minimum. So for me, that goes under cash flow, which is expenses down, income up. For me, I've been taking this time to do stuff that I've really needed to do for a long time, which is clean out my shed, clean out my storage units, get rid of stuff. I have an entire closet that I don't even open full of clothes that I went through and listed a bunch of it on Poshmark yesterday. I sold a sofa that used to be a photo prop I haven't used in like 3 years. Stuff like that is going to go into your bank and help you pay bills, and it is not a loss to you at all. And then as far as bringing income in, I look at it as sale and sell. So sale is having sales on stuff. I'm running discounted sessions, prepaid sessions, gift cards at a discounted rate, and then sell is just sell things that you don't need. The next step on this financial plan is getting your payments deferred. Most places are deferring payments right now. So this, you'll have to look at your expenses and go through it. If you're a renter, they are pushing, at least in California, they're pushing rent off till the beginning of June as of now. There's a form you can fill out, and I'm going to put links below once I figure out how to do it to all of the things I'm telling you. But there's a renter's form you can fill out and submit it. It allows you to defer your rent till June. You'll have to pay it, but it gives you a lot more time to come up with it and wait on some of the assistance checks or things that you decide to do. If you're a homeowner, it depends on where your loan is through. They're saying that they're going to offer stuff, but still figuring it out. I know my car loan has a link to click. If you're affected by COVID-19 shutdowns, click here for help. And then it says we're still working on what we're going to do. But places like Verizon for your cell phone bill, my mom and I both have Verizon. They're putting off payments till mid-May right now. So you're not going to lose your cell phone. Comcast isn't shutting off your internet. PG&E will not shut off your power. You still have to pay for all these things, but you're getting a ton of time to catch up and do it. And I think that is a huge weight off shoulders when, you know, the first is coming up and all these payments are looming. So you're going to cut things out. Here's another possibility, is getting a side job, which is going to take, for a business owner, setting aside some pride and deciding I can go to work for someone else. This is something I've looked very seriously at and put some feelers out. I am totally willing to go work my butt off right now if it means not losing everything I have in the next couple of months. The other thing is there are grants, and there are a few different ones that I posted them on Facebook. I'll post them in a link down below too. There's a lot of companies out there that already offer grants, but with everything that's going on, they're seizing the opportunity to really like pump out some money into some deserving small businesses. This morning, I applied for the Bumble small business grant. Bumble, the dating app, they have a business side also, where they allow businesses to kind of connect and like network. It was actually a really kind of fun and easy process. It was all online. A lot of people I've seen have had a hard time finding it. All you have to do is email them and say, I can't find where to apply for this, and they'll send you a link. And it was just a few questions, and I made a little video and sent it in. So apply for a grant. You have plenty of time right now, so it's not a waste of time. And then the last thing, or there's two more things, small business loans. We're, as small business owners, in a crap kind of situation, because it seems like if you're a billionaire or if you have no money, you're going to get assistance. Like this new $2 trillion plan they released last night is helping all of them, but small business owners in the middle, we're kind of screwed. We don't really get assistance. The one really cool thing I've seen, and I haven't read it all, I've read some, but the one cool thing I saw is that we are absolutely eligible for unemployment, which is not usual. If you're a sole proprietor, you can't do that, but right now we can. And every state has a different amount that's available, but for California, it's up to $600 a week. And I know it goes by what your normal income is, so your taxes will come into play on this, but for me, I'm applying for it. I've never been about government assistance or unemployment, but if they're just handing it out and I can, for the first time ever in my life, qualify for it, I will take that $600 a week and keep my bills being paid. And then the other thing is the small business loans, which if you decide you're in it, I'm fighting this till the end, I am not going to lose my business. A small business loan could save you. You just have to mentally get past the part where it's kind of angering that you would have to take one, as I know that's how I feel. I'm going to fight it till the end and try not to take that route, because it does suck to watch other people just get handed money and you have to take a loan that has interest on it. But that is kind of part of the path that we chose as small business owners. Whether it's fair or not, you kind of have to let that go and just decide the trade-off. So for me, if I'm going to take a small business loan, that's a payment on top of all the payments I already have in life and business expenses. So that means I have to make a trade-off. I've personally decided no matter what, I'm going down swinging. I am not going to lose here. So if I have to give up my fancy car that I worked so hard for or something else in trade-off for this payment for a small business loan that'll save my business, then that's what I'll do. Totally understand it if another payment isn't something you can or want to take on, but it is an option. The small business loans, which I'll also link below, they are very low interest, sometimes no interest. And there's been talk that after all of this coronavirus stuff peters out, they may forgive some of these loans. I wouldn't count on that. I never count on the government to come to our aid for anything, but something to keep in mind. So that was step 4, which was coming up with a plan, deciding where you stand on this, and looking at the options financially to keep things going. Number 5 for me is to keep growing at what you do. So whatever business you're in, you are in it because it is what you know the best. It's what you love and it's what you feel passionate about. And as small business owners, most of us all have one very similar problem. We never have time for everything we want to do. We get really caught up in the day-to-day running the business, and it gets into a routine, and that's what we do throughout the year. This could be a really beautiful time to have extra time to work on growing your business and your skill set. So for a photographer, for example, all this free time they could use to learn new skills, learn to shoot with off-camera flash or studio lights, learn new editing techniques. If you're a baker or a restaurant, you could develop new restaurant recipes, stuff like that. I look at this as we can use this as a time to kind of go into ourselves, because we're being forced to, and find a way to come back stronger and use this time as to show people, look, I'm not someone who caves under pressure. I had to go away for a while and I'm coming back with some serious new stuff. I think that's going to make the difference between businesses that barely survive and businesses that thrive. It's going to be like, what did you do with this time? So I also think this is a really good time. To me, I'm looking at it as a forced way to start asking questions. And instead of asking, why is this happening to me, to us, to everyone, I'm looking at it as, what can I learn from it? How can I use this time to prepare for future situations? Because I don't think this is the only time we're ever going to see something like this happen. Scientists have predicted this for years and nobody listened. So I feel like maybe, hopefully it will never be on this massive of a global scale and this dramatic, but it could happen again. So how can we prepare for that? How can I make my business bulletproof? How can I make myself bulletproof? Who can I help? So instead of asking, why, start asking more important questions that will actually have a benefit. So that was my step 5, which is to keep growing yourself, growing your business, growing your trade. And then my 6th and final step, which is one of the most important ones right now, is get outside of it. Just, I think the worst part of all of this is the isolation. It's funny because for me, I am normally a loner. I live alone, I work alone, I travel alone. I'm very used to being alone, but that's in the best of times. That's when life is good and bills are paid and business is booming and things are wonderful. And I'm choosing when I want to be around people. Being forced to be alone is so hard when it's not a choice. And it is really hard to be alone when the world is so uncertain and scary. So it doesn't matter if you're an extrovert and you're used to being around people all the time and hugging everyone and talking, this is really hard. But even the introverts are struggling right now because we're not used to being so freaking scared about what's happening, who to believe, what's going to happen tomorrow. So my 6th step has been to get outside that. For me, it has involved people. I have spent hours on the phone. I've been reaching out to people that I love and just asking them, like, how are you doing? Are you okay financially? Are you okay mentally? Making phone calls instead of text messages. We live in a great time of technology where you can FaceTime or Zoom conference a bunch of your friends and have happy hour. Everyone can have a cocktail together, tell jokes, talk about anything you want to talk about. And I encourage it not be the virus. Watching funny comedy shows, watching movies. We've had a game night the other night with my boyfriend and I. One of the really cool things. So for me, the biggest like side activity I do for fun is go to concerts. And this is concert season. I had about 8 or 10 shows that I don't get to go to now that I had been looking forward to for months. But most of those artists are doing free online live streaming shows. So is it the same thing? No. But is it the next best thing? Absolutely. Instead of sitting here just super depressed and mad at the world, I can still listen to that music. I could still have a drink and enjoy it. And some of my friends and I have been doing that together. Like we'll message each other like, hey, this band is on at this time. Okay, cool. And we'll both put it on. You can watch movies together. You can both start the movie together from different places. So just be in contact with people about something other than the virus. I think that's so key, is to get outside of it. I realize like if I can really get into a good movie or a good conversation and then an hour or two later realize, oh, I relaxed, my body let it go, my mind let it go. That's really important for maintaining health through this all. So just to recap what I went through, number 1 was to go through the grieving process and then finally get yourself to settle on acceptance. Number 2 was to keep moving forward every day and to maintain some sort of routine. That was number 3, maintain a new routine, whatever your new routine is. Number 4 was to come up with your plan, to decide Am I going to fold? Am I going to change directions? Am I going to stick with what I'm doing? And then look at all the options. There's grants, there's loans, there's selling things, holding sales. Just start chipping away at whatever it is and get your payments deferred. At least call your regular bills and ask them for a month or two extension so that money can be put towards the most important thing, like your mortgage or food or whatever. Number 5 was keep growing at what you do, learn new skills, use this as an opportunity to come back stronger. And number 6 was to get outside of it. Take a bubble bath, get in the jacuzzi, watch a comedy show, have an online chat, happy hour with friends, whatever it is that will make you happy. I really hope that there's some info in here that can help someone. I have struggled so much more with this than I would have ever thought I would. I've always thought I'm a pretty strong person, but these are unprecedented times. And I know for me, the hardest thing has been no matter what happens in life, there's someone I can go to for advice. There's someone I can look to, usually a parent or somebody I admire in business. And this person will tell me, here's what's right, here's what's wrong, here's what to do. And nobody knows right now. There's nobody we can look up to that can tell us for sure what's even really happening or who to believe or how long this is going to last. So it is so important to recognize that is really tough. I think if you can stay focused on, like I said, how to move forward and just make a plan and start chipping away. Sometimes our plans don't go quite how we lay them out, but you'll find new doors that'll open and you'll find a new path that is the right way. I'm always here for anyone that needs help, especially all my photographers that are reaching out for help with contracts and reschedules and rebookings. Give me a call anytime. I'm here as much as I can be. And I do plan to start putting out some more videos that will hopefully be helpful in your downtime on learning new editing skills and stuff like that. Let me know if you need anything at all, anybody. I really believe we're all going to get through this together and that it is going to be really soon and we're going to be back at our normal lives where we take everything for granted. Everyone be well.